hour ago, signed up for Matchmaker. And I feel
you did. You ended up doing that.
So I've been going on Hinge, but I like Hinge. Hinge has a solid group of people, but it just rotates, right? Mm-hmm. And then I finally got Raya. I was accepted a few months ago, and I wasn't going to do it because I don't like paying for a subscription.
Have you seen any celebrities on there?
John Mayer, but I feel like everybody sees him. Does he even have it?
That's like not surprising somehow.
But I heard that celebrities that have it, like you can never just delete your Raya profile. Like I feel like it just lives on there forever.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't really know how it works, but I'm paying, I don't know, $24 for it every single month.
To see John Mayer.
To see John Mayer and to be like, I heart you. But I feel like this Matchmaker might actually help me. I don't know. I'm willing to try
a survey or an interview with her?
That I did the survey. So we chatted and she sent me like a whole survey where you have to write your bio, you have to do your preferences. But the cool thing is she's like, all of their events and all of their matchmaking are literally set to be by your preferences, right? So if you don't want children, they're not going to put you with somebody that wants children, right? Like
it's just curated for you.
It's actually like better, I think. I don't know. But also like people lie. Like on dating apps, it's like they lie about their location, they lie about their children, they lie about everything.
If they're in a relationship.
If they're every single person that I meet is in a relationship and I find out date 3 when I'm like, oh, I really like you. Or they have, I don't know, they live in Texas or not actually in LA. And it's whatever. But we'll see. I'll keep you posted.
Yeah. I signed up for a matchmaking service, I think years ago. And I wanted to be matched with people. And I actually got matched with someone who was a composer, like a TV music composer.
That's cool.
Yeah. And after the fact, I looked it up and I was like, oh my God, why did I not want to go on a date with him again?
Did they email you or how do they match you?
So they interview you first and then they match you if they have a client that comes that's looking for someone who's your profile. Because I was signing up as someone to be part of the pool, but I wouldn't be specifically be matched with anyone.
I mean, we order our groceries, we order things from Amazon. Why not just order a man? But you've never had issues finding a man, though. This is the funny thing. I remember when we first met, I've been through God knows how many relationships and failed dates and, trauma responses or called you crying. But you somehow always get yourself into these 5-year relationships. You're literally like, I'm just playing around. I'm just having fun. And all of a sudden it's commitment. Oh, they want to marry me. The guy just gave me the keys to move in. How do you do it?
Oh my gosh. I have no idea. I think it's just going in with the best intention. And I learned this recently in my current relationship. You have to actually come from a place of love and not fear. And it's really hard to identify it, right? Because it's if he's not texting you and you're like, oh my gosh, he's not thinking about me, or worst case scenario, he's cheating on me. And then you're if you are okay, I'm identifying that this is fear, not love, which comes with trust. It really turns it around. And I think it makes you it improves your energy almost.
Is it just a conscious question that you ask yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to be really, really diligent about making sure that I'm coming from that perspective.
Because I'm psychotic. I'm, you know what I'm saying? You're not texting me. I mean, now I think I don't care as much anymore just because I'm fine and I have a good life and I've built a solid foundation. But I don't know. I just don't think that people will stay. Because I think, dating in LA, they just don't stay, or they change their mind, or they come in talking about marriage and commitment and wanting to do all these things. And then as soon as you get closer to it, they run away or something happens where avoidant attachment styles come out and stuff.
Yeah. I don't understand why most men are avoidant. I'm not a few anxious, but it's wild. I don't know, if there's a dynamic in a family dynamic, right?
Yeah.
But I do agree with that. I think there's a lot of push and pull, and then it always ends up being the push away.
Yeah. Or in society, I guess, right? Are we giving men the opportunity to talk about their emotions, right? Are we giving them the opportunity to talk about what it's like to be in love? Is that a manly thing? I mean, I think it is, right? Integrity, love, being a partner, showing up for some people, but somehow, some way, I think in recent years, it kind of went away.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, in my current relationship, I've never been more attracted to him than when he actually was open. And I could tell that he was coming from that place of love rather than fear. And I think that's, during the rocky parts, I think that's why I held on, because I saw he was capable of that.
Yeah.
But going back to your point, I do agree that we don't allow men to express themselves. They don't even learn, they haven't even learned how to articulate it yet for most of them.
Tell me more about like your relationship and where it's headed, but also kind of what you've been through. Because it hasn't always been easy, right? On either part.
Well, we met 5 years ago. I don't know if I told you
That's
this entire
crazy.
story. Yeah, I met him when I was working like
were
in
in
nightlife.
K-Town, right?
Yeah. And I like really liked him, but I wasn't in a place where I could date, and neither was he. Like,
Okay, but also Alex was like, you had so many different boys. You're like, this guy bought me flowers. This guy got me drinks. This one got me whatever gifts. They were all like tatted. I remember I went to your house and you showed me like all the photos, and I was like, maybe I should go on the dates. But
yeah, he was that guy. He was really good looking, but he was so awful.
Also weird. Yeah.
Yeah, I was dating a lot of people. And I think my attention was like being pulled a bunch of different places, and he recognized that, and like same thing with him. But he never like really exited my mind once our relationship ended. And I was the first one I like drunkenly texted him. And I was like,
Alex
were you
does this a lot though.
And I think that's like, I mean, how many times have you like drunkenly texted someone that you were thinking about?
I don't think since college.
What else? Just me.
But I think it's funny because people don't follow up with each other. Like, I think it's a form of networking. I think it's hilarious. And if you don't think it's hilarious, then like you don't need to be in my life, you know? Like, I would love a drunken text from you and you're like, I love you. Or like when you're at karaoke or something.
Yeah.
And you're just singing, I'm singing a song for you.
No, I thought I saw him. It wasn't him because I realized he was like smoking a cigarette, the guy that I thought was him. And he doesn't smoke. So I was like on one.
Oh God.
That night. But we were texting.
Wait, what was the text?
I was like, are you here? I was angry. I was like so mad.
Why, you're in the same place that I am.
Yeah.
Get away.
And then the next day I asked him, I think again, it's like coming like fear versus love. And I think this was kind of like a mix where I was like, would you actually be willing to see each other? Because he asked me to come over that night. I was like, nah. And the next day when I was sober, I was like, would you want me to come over? And we ended up like meeting up. And then from there, I think we dated non-exclusively for a year.
You taught me a lot about relationships. Yeah. I will say that.
I think my usual method is not what most people prefer. I think I dated.
If we don't talk about it, I can date whoever I want. I can do whatever I want, and it's fine, which is true.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if you don't talk about it. Do you remember Ricky? And like Andrew put in his calendar, like, will they, won't we? Like for our 1 year anniversary. And we like had not called each other boyfriend and girlfriend after a year.
Ricky.
Yeah. Ricky's getting married. Yeah. Or he actually might be married. Yeah.
Poor Ricky. But that was like, yeah, that was another one, which was like a dating app, whatever. We're just, together, just hanging out.
Yeah.
Did you get a dog together? No, that was
the one before that.
That was a co-parenting relationship. Did he ever reach out about your dog?
I think I blocked him.
Okay, that's probably a good idea.
Because I was like, I'm not like sharing custody of a dog.
But I don't get how people do that. I see a bunch of TikToks on it, and I actually know a few people that co-parent their dogs. If you break up, well, when you get a dog, it should be one person that like you can still co-parent whatever when you're together, but like one person should be the sole, responsibility, whatever person for that. But like, I don't get why they would co-parent. I don't know. I maybe when I break up with people or when my stuff happens, it's like it always ends so bad. Like you just would rather that person to be dead. That like I would rather just never see you again, or it just would never work.
Yeah, even for the dog. I mean, the dog. Like
but people do it for years.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that either. Like maybe if it's like a mutual breakup, like you don't have the same goals or something. But
is there such a thing? Can a mutual breakup actually exist? I don't know. Not in my life, but I'm also an Aries where it's like either I love you or I hate you, and there's no in between. It's very extreme. I mean, I guess if you're like friends, but then to me, there's just like no passion.
Yeah. But I mean, that could be like why, it's a mutual breakup. You recognize your friends that should be co-parenting a dog.
Big yikes.
I mean, if Pebbles, had a dad.
Yeah.
Would.
She had a few daddies.
Oh yeah, and you're perfectly fine. It's like, okay, say bye-bye. Or no bye at all.
Yeah, and then she's never seen them again. I haven't even thought about it.
I wonder if she Rob, like my dog, like definitely recognizes Eric, but I don't think she would express to me that she was upset that she wasn't seeing. Actually, I don't think she likes going to his apartment. She gets stressed out.
This is going to sound really terrible. A few things. My ex, Pebbles, like didn't like him. She doesn't like men in general. So I thought it was just like a normal, you're just not healed and you're just barking a lot. But she's met a few men afterwards that she actually really likes. And so that makes me feel kind of bad just because I'm like, ooh, is that a sign, you know? Whatever.
She knew. She's
so
like,
then,
you're not right.
There was a guy after who was really sweet. I just didn't, it was like really cool the first few dates. And I was like, it's like fizzled out for me. But he was so good with Pebbles and he would take care of her and she like got her a bunch of toys. And I literally only stayed with him because he took care of her and like would like take her on walks and like watch her. And I felt really bad, but yeah.
I think that's completely valid. That's happened with me and my boyfriend, where it's like we're having a fight, but then I think about like him taking Robbie to the park and like
acts of service.
Yeah.
She liked sugar daddy. Which I'm not allowed to talk about it. I feel like I've made this podcast when people like tell me stuff and then before they tell me a story, they're like, literally tell me, but you can't mention this on your podcast. I feel like that's like a good sign. Don't you?
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I'll talk about it anyways, but no, we'll wait until this whole situation will resolve each other.
Yeah. He has a nice code name.
Sugar daddy?
Yeah. I mean, it's like really general. It's like half the men in LA.
I will say, you can call yourself a sugar daddy, but unless you have the actual money to prove it and then give it out, you're not one. Because they all want to talk about having money, but it's just like not a thing.
I mean, I feel like guys who usually like flaunt their money don't have any.
Do you remember the guy that I used to live with? Do you remember when he put his phone, he would always fall asleep in the bathtub and then he would.
No. What?
He would always fall asleep in the bathtub. And then like, you know, like you have a kitchen sink and you usually have like a drawer or whatever underneath, right? Or like a little cupboard.
Yeah.
And he would hide his phone like in the cupboard and like there were cleaning supplies in there. So I would get it, whatever, when he was like asleep, just cleaning the kitchen or something. And I would find his phone in there.
Why?
Because he started cheating on me when I first moved to LA.
He thought that he was like clever by hiding it with the cleaning supplies.
Do you remember when I first moved to LA and like how innocent I was and how I had no idea what anything was?
Yeah.
What was I like? Tell me. Tell me.
Well, at first I saw your picture. I was like, damn, she looks good. But then that's not professional. So.
So for those who don't know, we were coworkers at an advertising agency. I moved out here to work on a movie. I don't even know if you know this. So I initially moved out here to work on a movie and the guy ghosted me. And that's when I called Dennis and was like, hey, can you transfer me over? And he was like, sure. Mm-hmm. And then Alex was on my team. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you were just like so excited to be there. And like what you said, you're like kind of like a little LA baby. And you were trying to think about where you wanted to live. And you were saying we're going to be downtown, commuting to Playa Vista.
And you all thought I was crazy.
Yeah. And I was like,
it wasn't that bad. It was like an hour and a half.
An hour and a half.
That's what I drive now.
Yeah, but that's 5 days a week versus like 3 days. And you were new. So it's like I wanted you to be spending the time exploring LA, not like, you know,
by
sitting
the
on the freeway.
beach and trying different things.
Yeah. I mean, do you remember that one time you drove to San Francisco and it was like a day trip?
Yeah. Yeah, but I did that a lot. I will do day trips to Sequoia, Kings Canyon, Pismo, and I would just get into my car and just sleep in my car. And I wouldn't even know where I was going, but I just left. Yeah. Which, I mean, I want to do that now, but I just don't have enough time to do it anymore.
Yeah, I loved that about you.
But it's so fun. Cool. It's like, how else are you going to see anything? And then I'm not going to wait for somebody else to say yes to, you know, it's just like, just go. And then, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know how I didn't get killed, though, or like didn't have some kind of, I mean, listen, it was not safe if you think about it. Although the back, like the windows are tinted. And sometimes I would bring my surfboard and I would just put it on the top and then I would just sleep underneath it.
Oh my gosh. I don't remember you mentioning that you did that.
Maybe that was in my OG days when I was just like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm from Michigan. Nobody will harm me. Like everything is safe. Everyone's nice to me. God. Yeah, I would go all the time and I would go to all those like professional development things. But the office was really fun for the time being. But then I moved on to a different agency. I finally got like a pepper spray and I got bear spray. And
a little whistle.
I got like a knife, you know, just in case something was going to happen. And then, yeah, but you stayed there for a few more years, right?
After you left, I actually like only stayed there for a few months because you and Nick left like in quick succession.
Did I leave before him or after? After.
Wait, did you? I think you did.
So, yeah.
Yeah. And then both of you were gone for like a few months. And then we hired someone new. But by then I was like already doing my second job. So I was like barely showing up to work.
I've always admired that about you, though, because I think one of the things that I first noticed about you is that you had always had this really free will. So you really went by what you felt and what your intuition told you, or like if something wasn't for you, you had no qualms about just removing it from your life immediately and just going for what you wanted. And you didn't care what was on the other side. You didn't care to not have all of the answers. Whereas, especially back then, I was hot anxiety, journaling like 25 pages a day, not an exaggeration, questioning all of my life choices. Even if I made a decision, I would always question it afterwards. But you were just like, you know what? I just want to like go out and have fun. Let me go into nightlife. Oh, I want to do a jewelry business. And then you would come in with all these like gorgeous, colorful like pieces of jewelry, which, you know what I'm saying? Like that was always been so amazing. And that hasn't gone away. That's still there even now, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's good to have like, you know, good in between. Like we need to meld a little bit.
Fire and ice.
Yeah. Aries is a fire sign. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scorpio, water?
Is water. Yeah. So I guess that makes sense.
I never understood that though, because I feel like to me, Scorpio would be more fiery.
Yeah. That's like, it seems that way. I think what I've heard though is Scorpio tends to be very emotional, and that's what makes it. Yeah. That's what makes it water. Because we're like the deep water, and then Pisces and the other one. Is it Aquarius?
I thought Aquarius was air.
But
I also didn't understand that because Aquarius should be water because it's aqua.
I know. Doesn't make any sense.
Can we just talk about this for a second? Yeah. All right. So what are I'm Googling this right now. Water signs.
Oh, Pisces and Cancer. Or
Cancer, Scorpio, ones. Pisces.
Yeah.
Cancer, yeah, I'm a Cancer moon, so I get that. I'm emotional as fuck. Pisces, totally get that. Yeah, spicy fish. Pisces, always in their feelings. Don't wrong a Pisces. Scorpio. But okay, so you have deep emotions.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you bottle them up and then they overflow? Or do you feel like they come out in more 10-year manipulation plans of conquering the world and making somebody suffer for their sins?
I never want to make anyone suffer. Although I did have a revenge plot against someone that I was like hooking up with, and my evil plan was to send him an envelope with the glitter in it. That was my evil plan.
I like that. Mm-hmm. I would burn his house down. I would hack his phone. I probably should stop talking. Yeah.
I thought I was so like bad for that.
What's your rising? Do you know what your moon?
It's I think it's Virgo. Yeah, and then I'm Pisces moon.
Wow, that's so funny. I met a Scorpio sun, Virgo rising, and I want to say Virgo moon the other day, and I was like, you are psychotic. Like you are. That's hard. That's hard. But no, tell me more about like how you embodied these, I guess, like just desires or this way of living where you release whatever you don't want to do anymore and just go for what you want. Like, how do you have that fearlessness? How do you just, like, is that something that your parents instilled in you? Is that something that you just kind of did and I guess got away with and it just worked out?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm definitely like really privileged because I've always had my parents as a landing pad. And I know I can like move back in with them no matter what. But to be honest, I had to go through a lot of bottling up the emotions, and then I have a breakdown and I'm like, okay, let me try to work through it. And if I have another breakdown, it's just like, okay, well, I guess this isn't like serving me anymore. Let me try something different. And that's really what happened. Like at Donor, I went in and I was unhappy every single day. And we ended up parting ways. And that's when I did like the nightlife for 3 months. And I had the same exact feeling. I lasted 3 months full time doing that.
Were you a bartender? Or were you a...
Yeah, it was like, it was like a hosting type job. It's kind of like we might need to cut this. It's like a underground Koreatown thing.
Can you take me to these underground places?
I would love to. I can describe it. I'm not going to say I did it. I was a server for all intensive purposes, but basically what it is
this a sex club? Is this what we're like?
I don't know if did I ever tell you in detail what I did?
No, you just said I meet a lot of guys, I'm going on a lot of dates, and I'm not sleeping a lot.
Oh my God. Okay. So, I'll break it down and then we can just say I never did this. Okay. But you know, kind of on theme, this is a very LA thing. This is not in a lot of other places like maybe Vegas and New York. And you have these vans full of young girls who are going from karaoke spot to karaoke spot. And then they have these private karaoke rooms with usually men. And you go into the room and they might look up at you. They might not. And then you try to introduce yourself. And if they like you, they'll like point at you and be like, hey, you want to sit down? And then you sit down and you get paid $100 an hour.
Just to hang out and drink and...
Well, hang out. I mean, the expectations vary because it's like you're in a private room, it's dark, and there's men who are drinking. So
but do you set the boundaries beforehand or negotiate?
You can. You don't negotiate. Like, it's set that you're not supposed to really touch. You're just there to entertain and give them a good time. They're obviously going to cross the boundary, but you are 100% allowed to leave and you won't be, you know, fired or anything for it. You have to be like really extreme to get fired. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely not for the faint-hearted.
I have so many questions.
Yeah. I think, you know, honestly, it's so fun because you go and you could get, you know, you have to pay them $100 an hour, but like you can just get like, you know, someone to sit down with you and you can just ask them to sing karaoke with you.
What happened during your experiences or what people have told you? Like, what are some of the stories that stand out?
Oh my gosh. There's so many. I mean, there's a lot of alcohol use and things that go along with that. Oh my gosh. I can tell one of my friends, she met a guy and they never like slept together or anything. And he ended up giving her like a $6,000 ring for her birthday. Another guy gave her, oh, I told you about this the other day, where the guy gave her a computer for her birthday. But there's also like horror stories too. Like another friend of mine, she thought that she was taking aspirin. It was ketamine. And she had to leave. Obviously she left, and she was safe. So it wasn't like a disaster. So there's like a whole bunch of things that could happen.
Do you remember the names of the karaoke bars?
Oh, they're in K-Town.
We'll put that on my Substack. Yeah. Like, as like a premium. Wow. Yeah, no, I had no idea. I thought it was like literally this is just like me being really naive. I thought it was literally underground, like in like the LA
there is one that's underground, so there's like a little hint there.
Wow. And then you just go in the van from place to place to place.
Yeah. If a guy doesn't want to sit with you, you just keep trying the different rooms.
And then they just keep the vans going?
Yeah.
Wild. How'd you hear about it?
I was out clubbing in Hollywood and some girl just like randomly mentioned it to me. And she was like, I think you'd be really good at it.
Honestly, though, you are like, and I say this in the nicest and sweetest way, you are like the queen of manipulating men.
But I think the key to that, just a disclaimer, the key to that is that I'm doing it without the intention to manipulate them.
Right.
But
you're just having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. But at the end of the day, it's like, I want to make sure that I'm getting my needs met, whatever that is. But I'm willing to meet your needs too.
Yeah. Well, my therapist, so I met a guy. It's interesting. It's already over, I think. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. They always come back. But she was basically like, you know, in me reviewing the situation and being like, is this a good idea? Is this not a good idea? Because I'm a very emotional person. She's like, listen, you are having a good time. That's great. You just can't forget that at the end of the day, your engagement with him is a transaction. No matter how you slice it, no matter what you think, no matter what he says, no matter whatever, it's a transaction. You're going over there to complete a transaction, whether that's a fantasy, whatever, playing wife and hubby and whatever, going to Home Depot doing something, or it's going plant shopping, or him fixing something in your apartment, or you going on a really nice trip in Cabo and the nicest resort. It's still a transaction. So yes, you might have a good time. Yes, you might be feeling good because the sun's shining on your face, but like what are you trying to get out of it? Right. And then what are you actually going to get out of that? And just like check yourself, which I don't think I can do that. Like I'm just so emotional, and that's okay. And I just think really deeply, and I always kind of assume different intentions, but I don't know if I could just leave it like that. Yeah. I want to. Let's try it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to be like super intentional, like intentional about what you want.
Yeah.
And set that boundary for yourself.
Do you always know what you want before you do something?
No. I think I'm scared to say what I want sometimes. I don't think that's an uncommon experience. I'm trying to get better about that. But for a relationship specifically, if I know that I don't want something serious, I will be very clear and upfront about that with myself, and keep reminding myself if I like starting to get the feels, like with Ricky, I'll be like, well, we started this relationship saying that, neither of us wanted anything deeper. And, maybe I was scared to say that I wanted something more, but I just kept reminding myself, I was like, you know what, if I'm not willing to take the dive, then I'm probably not ready. Yeah.
And also I think when I remember like it started, hey, we're having fun, there's this guy. Then you had mentioned the guy multiple times, right? It became like a frequent flyer. Then it was, hey, we're talking and we're hanging out again. And we had asked, or like, is there something more here? Like, do you enjoy each other's companies and whatever? And he might have gone on dates and stuff, but you were very good about like, even if you didn't like it, even if he went on dates with other people or he did something that you just weren't satisfied with, you faced the pain. Yeah. And then you're like, okay, well, this is not what I wanted anyways, or whatever. Like you're really good about that. Whereas again, on my end, I'm like, the universe gave this situation to me for a reason. I'm supposed to find out what that reason is. It's like all a game. Interesting. Okay, so that was your underground world. Okay. Yeah, no, you never told me that.
Yeah. I'm surprised I didn't. I know I mentioned it in bits and pieces, but it's a very interesting part of LA.
What I like about you and I is that we see each other every, 6 months?
Yeah. I know. It's like lucky
once a quarter. Yeah, but we're just busy. Like it's not a bad thing. But then when we get together, it's like nothing has changed and we're just like catching up and doing everything. And honestly, it feels like we're picking up the same conversation that we had the last time that we chatted.
Yeah, it does.
So what made you leave that world?
Lack of sleep. Yeah. My theory is that like if you're awake working when it's dark outside, that's worth 2 waking hours. But you're not getting compensated for it. Yeah. But I think it was just at the end of the day, like any, young, attractive woman in Los Angeles, a lot of my self-worth was starting to hinge on how I looked and what I could give other people. And I felt like I was like really losing my sense of self, and I wasn't valuing myself in the way that I wanted to. Because it's like you walk in and like you're trying to make it's like a dating app, right? You're trying to make an impression based on just like a glance.
And have them choose you.
Yeah. And I knew I was like worth more than that. And there's nothing wrong with doing that or by presenting yourself well and taking pride in that. But I was just like starting to question. I was like, can I still do things that I want to do that fulfill me?
Yeah.
And like socially it was fulfilling.
Yeah.
But other than that, it didn't provide much.
Yeah.
So.
And you're also a creative person, right? You're like, you're singing or you're painting or playing with your dogs or you're exploring different things. And I feel like when you're out all of the time and really focused on that, you don't have enough energy left at the end of the day to sing and to write your songs and to.
Yeah.
Did you ever record your songs?
I have a few recordings, but nothing professional.
Why?
Again, I think it's like I'm afraid to say what I want, and it would be so cool to like record it one day, not to share with other people. I think it's very much like an art therapy type thing, but just to preserve it and to say, you know what, I did that, I created something. But yeah, you're right. I was just too tired to do anything. I'd sleep the entire day and then get up and like, you know, put my makeup on, and that was my life. So it was a sad way to live. Looking back at it, I think it did provide a lot. And I mean, I think it's like, I hope it's something that a lot of, like, as I said, a lot of young women experience and can understand, and try and just find value outside of what we look like and what we can provide other people.
It's interesting because a lot of people have this perception, and rightfully so, that is all about the spiciness level. Like, how much can I show? Can I show nudes? Can I show pretty young women? Wouldn't you? And then we have top models, NASCAR drivers, golfers, chefs. Like, we have people from everywhere that have such a diverse audience that also come there, right? But what happens is you have these 19, 20-year-old women who are making hundreds of thousands of dollars every single month. And then they're buying the Bentleys, they're buying the expensive handbags, they're taking all of their friends out to expensive vacations and having a lot of fun. But their entire worth then is tied in, oh, if I look a certain way and I get the money, that makes me worthy. If I can provide all these things for you, that makes me worthy. And then all of a sudden, let's say like their money goes down or their boyfriend breaks up with them or whatever happens, their entire life is shattered and they're 23, 24 and have nothing to climb anymore, right? And it's really devastating. And I think we're changing it, but you know, part of it is society and the way that we talk to different people. We see it with cultural phenomenons. Like, I don't want to mention her name because she's here right now, but you know, like nobody grew up in a small town. They did something on national TV and then made hundreds of thousands of dollars as well. And then everyone's like judging them for it. But she's like, I can change my life, right? I can buy a house. I can provide for my daughter.
Yeah. And
you know,
as you should, if you're given the opportunity, like anyone would take, not anyone, but most people would take that.
Well, also, what's your brand, right? Like that moment doesn't have to define you, but it's like, what do you do with that moment? You know, I think back in the day, we used to discover talent and make them famous and make them whatever. And there were certain goals that every single person had, or that society, I think in general, would provide. But nowadays you just have different ideas of what you want to do, and then you can change your mind. And then what happens when you even get your goals? Like, you've been there, I've been there, where it's like, okay, I'm at the job that I wanted. Like, there was nothing more than I wanted to be an account executive in advertising. Like, literally, I went to Deutsche LA, I met an account executive, and I was like, I want to be like her. I want to work on multi-million-dollar campaigns. And it's like so funny to look at it now. Like, I changed my entire career trajectory. And then I became like an account executive. And then, of course, since then I've scaled to account director and now, you know, manager, like having my own department. But like, it's just wild, you know, because what happens when you make your like goals come true? Like, how do you redefine yourself? Do you have to redefine yourself? What keeps you grounded?
Yeah. I mean, I think you always have to do that. I struggle having anything past a quarterly goal. So that might, you know, kind of tie in with what we were talking about earlier. I think just something interesting that I wanted to talk more about, you were talking about the women and the creators on the platform. I think it's really interesting to see how with this technology where you can have like a parasocial relationship, I really do feel that the women have an opportunity to, like what you said, build something more than just, you know, providing face value. If you look at, I'm a huge fan of Holly Madison. I don't know how Playboy feels about her as a company.
We love her.
Yeah. But I think it's like really interesting. She was really able to take the Playboy brand and the platform that she was given, of course, by the reality TV show, which is a little bit different, but use her personality to really build a fan base that spanned across not just, you know, men who are reading the magazine. I mean, now
Do you believe the sexual revolution has failed?
Oh my God. I have so many opinions about it. You know, okay, I want to hear what you have to say first, and then maybe I can jump off of there.
I change my mind all of the time. So, sexual revolution for me, I think about the pill, and I think about condoms, and I think about the way in which families used to reproduce not being important anymore, right? In that sense, totally succeeded. But I still think that from an emotional level and societal level, we still put a lot of hope and guidance in men. And actually, when you look at some societies and some cultures, they're still having like group dynamics where like the man is at the center, and then they still have like polyamorous like relationships. So in that case, like, it failed.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I agree with you. I think maybe another layer too, since we were just talking about the Playboy platform, is like the objectification, like commodification of women and how that kind of like plays into things in the relationships between men and women, and how big of a part that plays in, quote, the patriarchy, and the dynamics that you were talking about. I don't know if you have any further opinions on that.
I just don't think it's going to go away. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's impossible for it to go away as well. And like, I think that's why like I do have a lot of layered feelings about it, because I think that women should take advantage. Women, and obviously there's a set of people who are not just women, but women specifically, they should take advantage of it because they've been put in positions where they weren't able to have such high earning potential.
Yeah. It's the only way to get equitable, I think, to what men can make sometimes. Not always, but.
Yeah, exactly. But then I think then you're playing like within the wheel. It's like Daenerys. It's like you're in the wheel. So like, how do you break the wheel?
Yeah.
And I don't have an answer for that. I don't know if anyone does.
If you have an answer, let us know in the comments. Like, let's talk. I want to pivot to mental health because I think, you know, as we get older, we become more in tune, hopefully, with who we are and what's important to us. And I think that our priorities can sometimes change. And so when you are putting yourself into conversations and into situations where you're working a lot, you're overworked, you're not sleeping enough, or your mental health is affected, I think we all have those points where we kind of just go like, oh, what is happening and how did I get myself in here? Mm-hmm. Tell me more about like your current situation and what made you decide to potentially like stop your job and part ways with like a roommate, or just make changes in your life to take care of yourself.
I don't think there's like really a straight answer for that. You know, I was talking to my boyfriend and he was like, when are you going to know like when you're going to like really be ready for the next step? And I said, it's just a feeling. And I don't really know what that feeling is. I know I felt it. I know I'm capable of achieving it. I think there's definitely a mix of self-esteem there. I think what we both relate to is abandonment issues and being like, oh my gosh, this is like desperately grasping at something, because we feel like it's going to go away or we're not going to be able to actually get it. And trying to like really address those issues on a deep level. And I don't know if it's possible.
Do you think your abandonment issues affect every decision that you make now? Ooh, or do you think they've been reopened in recent years?
I think they always get reopened.
Yeah.
There's always something that like triggers it. Some more deeply than others. Like I said, it could be as simple as like, oh, my boyfriend turned his phone off. And I know this sounds like so crazy. Like he turned his phone off for 40 minutes. And I was like, did you really turn your phone off? Like what the, like, but, and then, you know, I didn't address it. Like, as I said, I didn't address it with love. It was more fear. And I got mad at him. But I was like, it's kind of fucked up that you just like, we kind of had a little bit of an argument and you turn your phone off and you don't tell me that you just like need some space. I'd respect that, but like, it's fucked up. You just like turn your phone off. Maybe this is
just fucked up, man.
Yeah, this is like deeper maybe than I thought it was. And then the abandonment issues, you know, they come in with like bigger life issues. And I don't know if this is necessarily abandonment. I think it's like, you know, abandonment and fear of loss, where like my parent going through a health issue and then thinking about the emptiness of them not being there and how deeply that affected me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That was a little bit off topic.
Yeah, no, I think it's good though, right? Because it's almost like, okay, where do I feel safe and what's my safety net? And sometimes when we're feeling good, we make certain decisions because we just kind of take for granted the safety net that we have. And then all of a sudden when you're feeling like a 3 out of 10 or whatever and your safety net's gone, I think you have a different perspective about certain things, right? You're like, oh my gosh, wait, how am I going to deal with it when my mom's gone or when my dad passes away or if something happens to my dog or whatever? And I think that's, you know, when we get those warning signs, it's really important to just ground into like be grateful.
Yeah.
Make sure you're calling it out, but also like listening to your body and your mind, right? And taking that break. I'm definitely getting there for sure. Like just burning out a little bit and needing to take care of myself. Cause I was like, ooh, I'm actually like anxious and I haven't been anxious in a while, you know? So it's, yeah, it's good and it's bad. And
what do you do to like take a break and like do that self-care?
I think my morning routine is really important. So usually what I do is I sleep at least 8 hours a day. I try to, but I haven't in months now, which is good because I'm like happy and I'm, you know, whatever. And I'm still up and I'm doing things. But sleep for me is like, if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, generally like I'm not on my top performance. And then in the morning when I wake up, I like to wake up like a crazy person at like 4 a.m. and I like to like take a walk with my dog because nobody's awake and it's really quiet.
Yeah,
and for me, that's the most peaceful time of the day. And when I go on my walks, I talk to myself and I'm either like doing a prayer or I'm doing like a meditation that's out loud, or I'll just recap what I'm grateful for and go to the gym. And then it's like a full day. And I go
your
to the
morning
gym,
routine is
literally.
like your day routine.
But like if I don't do all of these things, like sometimes it's like out of order, but if I don't do all these things, usually in an order, like my day like isn't as good. Like and then I'm like thrown off. So I go to the gym and I come home and, you know, whatever, get ready. But then I meditate and I journal and then I do artists' pages. Have you ever heard of the Artist's Way?
No, you'll have to remind me.
It's a book. It's like a self workshop, if you will. So every single week you go through different exercises and stuff. But really what it came out with is that you do morning pages. So every morning you write 3 pages, just whatever's on your mind. So I do that still, even though I finished it a few months ago, because it's really helpful just to get all the like brain vomit out, you know? And then I do my like affirmations. And so for me, that grounds me because it reminds me like, what are my goals? Who am I? I also have like, I read goals that I wrote down at the beginning of the year. And that carries me throughout the day. But I think what I'm learning now is like throughout the day when things are crazy, how do I pause and how do I just leave and I take a walk outside of the block? Because sometimes like you'll look around and everyone else is working more hours than you, or they're doing more than you, or they're on more. And what happens is like I compare myself a lot, but I can't do that because you know what? Like my team is kick ass and they're beautiful people and they're so smart, but you know what? Like I run differently. And so when I'm running on fumes and they're not, that's fine. I have to give myself grace and go for that walk and get that coffee or stop drinking coffee and get water, whatever it is, right? Like I have to do that and just reset and know that about myself, and then communicating it back to my team has been really important because nobody's like judging you. Nobody's saying anything bad. It's just, if you don't know that, but then you're burning out, that looks badly on you more than you just taking a break and assessing it, you know?
Yeah.
But boundaries is, I think, really important, which is like an ever changing thing, but I need to work on mine.
Yeah. Boundaries. Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Like when you're on a team, right? You don't want to let anyone down. You don't want to make someone else's day harder.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. It's like being able to express that
Yeah.
and tell someone rather than just trying to like work on something and then you mess it up.
Yeah. Well, now I manage a team, right? Which is even harder, which like, I love it. Like I love what I'm doing, but it's just, in addition to not wanting to let my coworkers down, I also don't want to let my team down because they're looking at me as like an example. And so on one end, I'm like, take a break, take a rest, and I encourage them to do everything. But if they're not seeing me do it either, then you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just really like, you're only as strong as like your leader. Your dad taught me that during my session. Literally life-changing. You know what your dad said to me? He said, so a few months ago, I talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but I went through a career change just because I knew that there was something more in my life that I wanted to do. And I had an idea of what I wanted, and I was kind of shopping around some things. And so I met with your dad, and it was literally like the most life-changing conversation that I've had, and I still have the notes actually in my bedroom, right by my big crystal. And he had said, he's like, everybody wants to give you what you want. Like you ask like, hey, can I have this? Yeah, I'll say yes. But he was like, you're not telling them what you actually want. You're like, I would love to have a job at your company. Great. What do you want to do? I don't know. Can you just tell me? You know? And so, but he charged me, this was like back in, I want to say like March or something. This is a long time ago, months now. And he was like, I want you to figure out what you want and write it down. And he gave me like a specific way of doing it. And I still haven't done it. Literally, it's been on my to-do list every single day since March. And I just cross it off and then I put it on the next day because I think I'm scared. I think there's like a block there that I'm like, I'm scared of putting down what I want because what if it's wrong?
Yeah. I totally understand that. We should do that together.
Can we do it with your dad, actually?
Yeah. Workshop.
You're like, so what are you guys doing? I remember we went to the zoo and then we took a bunch of photos, and when we got home, we did like a PowerPoint slide with your parents and we showed them all the photos.
Oh my God. Yeah. I remember that.
Why couldn't they go? Were they sick? One of them was sick.
Yeah. I think they were sick. Yeah. And that was like so amazing. We were able to go like last minute and we did like the tour thing.
And we saw those giraffes. Crazy. So let's talk about LA. So you're a native Angeleno. You grew up here. You went to high school in Hollywood, right?
Yeah. Marlboro, which is Hancock Park, right next to Larchmont. Yeah.
Did you know LA was this special place while you were growing up here?
No idea. I mean, honestly, I kind of resented it. I always wanted to like grow up in a small town. I was like, everything's so hard here. Everything's so busy.
Really?
Yeah. And I think only when I went to college on the East Coast and some guy looked me up because we had like a directory and he says, oh, I see that you like grew up in Beverly Hills. Like, is your next door neighbor Tom Cruise? And I was like, funny, you should mention that. Actually, P. Diddy lived across the street from us when he was married to J-Lo. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And I mean, I asked my parents, I was like, did you ever go to his parties? Like, did you see anything? Like now with the current news. And they said, no, he was perfectly nice. He sent his assistant over to ask if his music was too loud.
Also, your parents are badass.
Yeah.
They're like these like proper humans, you know? Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I think only then when I started mentioning this kind of stuff or like that comment, I realized like, oh wow, people like are actually interested in where I grew up, and obviously again like a place of privilege. But before it just was normal. I took it for granted.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you just grew up here. Like the movie industry is normal. It's just like an oil field in Canada or a car shop in Detroit or something like that. You know, like it's But even like the people like in your high school, like was that different or was it just?
Oh my gosh, some of the people in my high school, like I won't mention anyone by name, but we had like
mention them. I'll cut it. I want to know.
So we had he wasn't in my class. Jack Nicholson's son went to school. I was in the same grade as my best friend.
Wow.
And they did like in the parking lot. Apparently, this is all allegedly, like according to her. And then we had a girl who unfortunately passed away. And I saw this I don't know how I saw this in the news. I think I was just browsing Google. And she was on a reality TV show because she was friends with Magic Johnson's son. Mm-hmm. And
he's a Spartan, Magic Johnson. He's a Spartan, Michigan State.
Oh. And her, like, you know, her parents were big in the industry, and we had just like an assortment of people who were like, somehow connected
to somebody. Yeah. But at that point, does that enter the gossip mill, or is it just everybody's somebody?
Yeah, no one, like, I didn't really care.
Yeah.
I think the only reason I cared was because my mom would mention it every once in a while.
Sure. But she's also like in the movie world, so that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And she like moved here and she thought I would think it's interesting, but it's just like, okay.
I mean, again, my entire life was driven to move to LA, and then I was like, oh my God. Like a little kid in the candy store, and you're like, yeah.
I mean, I think this is so embarrassing. My biggest celebrity crush growing up was Bryan Singer.
Wow.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously a bunch of stuff has come out about him, but my mom worked with him on a movie, and he would call her like pretty regularly. I'd be like, oh, is he calling? Can I talk to him? And she's like, no, it's professional.
I will say, I wish Clubhouse was in now and not a few years ago, because my phone, the amount of contacts that I have and the people that I know, like I would have been all over that shit.
What do you think is like the most LA entertainment celebrity moment you've had?
Well, this is embarrassing. So the first time, I'll tell you the first time that it mattered to me, and then I'll tell you like the cool shit. But the first time that I ever went to LA, we were at Pump Restaurant, which doesn't even exist anymore. Mm-hmm. And we had dinner next to like Bella Hadid and all of those people. But it was like a group of us, and we're like, you know, graduating college and just like, oh my God, like whatever, drinking wine and taking our pictures. And I think that was just, it was like, oh my God, I'm in LA. Like this is so special moment. But then also that entire time, like I spent an entire day taking photos at the by the Melrose murals, like
Oh yeah.
which is not a tourist attraction. Okay, just to let you know, Melrose murals. You can shop there fine. We spent an entire day there just like taking pictures with all the murals that they have. Embarrassing. Anyways,
I've done that.
but I think like what like was a cool moment, I think would be like probably like with Tyra Banks at BET Awards, like
Oh my
hanging out with
gosh.
her, like walking her like on the carpet. I think like any of the parties, you know what I'm saying? Like when you
Yeah.
like go and then there's somebody, or like the TikTok houses or whatever. What was yours?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Honestly, I think it was just like growing up. I've like tried to stay away from it, I think, since
Yeah.
then. Unless Bryan Singer, I mean, before everything came out, unless Bryan Singer had been involved, like I'd be there and be like 100%. I'm in this like Hollywood, but
But also like don't meet your idols because they usually suck.
yeah. And I didn't even have to meet him to find out that he sucked.
I hate that. So as we're wrapping up, I'm gonna ask you like a rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Okay. What's your go-to restaurant in LA?
Oh my gosh. It's not a restaurant, and this is so stereotypical LA. Erewhon smoothies.
I've never been to Erewhon.
Oh my gosh, I like just tried it maybe 3 months ago, and I was trying to replicate them before getting one, like a real one. And I was so proud of it. I'd always take pictures, and I finally went and paid $20 for the smoothie. I was like, this is so good.
The Hailey Bieber one?
Hmm?
Did you do the Hailey Bieber one or no?
I got a hot tip that one just tastes like strawberry. So I was like, I'm not paying $20 for strawberry. I did get the layered one that Winnie Harlow collabed on,
Okay.
and that was so good, and it's so pretty.
And does it make a difference? Is it like that much better?
It tastes really good. It's really sweet.
Okay.
So you have to like sweet smoothies. But yeah, it's worth it.
How
We should
funny.
go. We should definitely go.
Where do you buy most of your clothes from?
Right now, I'm trying to buy secondhand. This used to be like a high school thing. But now it's like eBay and Depop.
Do you bid for clothes on eBay?
I do, yes. I do. Not frequently.
Who still does that? Do you win?
I do, yeah. Because I usually like find like these really like niche things that no one wants, I guess.
Well, we need to talk because I'm like, do I need to bring this up? Okay. Where do you get your jewelry from?
Etsy.
Really?
Etsy. Yeah, the individual creators. I like try to make sure that it's not drop shipped.
Yeah.
But I got the rainbow I told you, and
Cute.
then the necklace as well.
Very, very cute. Who's your favorite artist?
Ooh. Paper Idol.
Best.
No. And Kesha.
You're like, I can change my mind.
Yeah.
Who's what was the best live concert that you've gone to?
Oh my gosh. LCD Sound System at the Palladium. It was so good. I went for my birthday with my godbrother.
What are you excited about right now?
Seeing you.
Oh, hearts. That was cute. What are you most proud of?
Oh my gosh. Probably my dog. My dog. She was so awful. She was had every behavior issue you could think of, and now she's like a sweet baby seal.
Really? Did you train her?
I did, yeah. I mean,
Can
I
you
was
train Pebbles? I just
I
tell
can
her I just
try.
got her. Like whenever she's with strangers, I'm like, I just got her. I just rescued her.
I can definitely try. But the good thing about Pebbles is she's small, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh, if Robbie's barking at you, she's like 60-pound German Shepherd. Pebbles is like, oh my God, baby.
But like that makes it even worse because everyone thinks it's cute, and I'm like, it is not cute.
Yeah,
She
it's
like
really
actually wants to
forcing.
bite your head off. Oh my God. What do you wish more people knew about LA?
I mean, I think a lot of people think it's like very shallow, that there's no good people here. We are flaky. So I'm not going to debate that. But I think, the club scene, people like associate that with LA. That's like a very, very small part. I think people are kind of catching on that you need to go to events like Meetup,
Yeah.
Eventbrite, any kind of like networking social, like social club type
Yeah.
thing. That's always going to be good. And there's always people who like vibe with you.
Yeah. What's the best club to go to?
Oh, I'm going to have to shout out to Koreatown Mama Lion. You would get flocked at Mama Lion because like you show up with like your blonde, like beautiful bouncy hair.
Like, no.
And everyone's going to buy you a drink. You're going to get like 100 drinks.
I mean, let's go. Let's go tonight. What do you want to share with somebody who is struggling right now or in like a creative block or just doesn't know what to do?
I think with struggling, always stay positive. Don't lose that hope. And easier said than done. And then just for creative block, force yourself to write anything. And I also am trying to do that myself. It's hard.
Yeah.
But that's the best thing you can do. You have to keep practicing, and you have to practice being creative when you're not feeling creative.
That's dedication and consistency. That's true though, because it's also like how you talk to yourself and what comes out and how you like why you're doing what you're doing, you know, not just when you're feeling good, but when you're feeling bad.
Yeah.
I love that. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you everybody for joining, for listening, for watching. Yeah, we'll catch you next time when Everybody Hates LA.